Hello and welcome. In today's lesson, we'll talk about the slope of a line. There are 4 learning goals that we need to accomplish today, but I will go over them once we have learned all of them. We're going to start with the definition of a slope, which measures the steepness of a line. In some lines, as we walk from the left endpoint to the right endpoint, and that is just like when we read a book, left to right, we notice that the lines rise up, which means that they go vertically up. In this case, we say that the line has a positive slope. In some lines, as we go from the left endpoint to the right endpoint, we notice that the lines go down. So they rise vertically in the negative or down direction. In this case, we say that the line has a negative slope. Some lines, as you walk from the left to the right endpoint, will stay flat. We call them horizontal lines. And if we want to put a number to it, we'll say that the steepness or the slope is 0. And there are some very special lines where all you do as you go from one point to the other, and there is no left or right endpoint in this case, like in vertical lines, the steepness is so big that we call it immeasurable or undefined. So in vertical lines, the steepness is undefined, and so is the slope. So to find the slope of a line, we use the formula slope equals rise over run, just to indicate how far a line will go vertically as we read it from left to right. So that's the run. The slope is indicated by letter M. And the rise will indicate the vertical distance between 2 dots on the line, and the run, the horizontal distance between 2 dots on the line. I have a verse I like to use whenever I teach the slope. See, I didn't come up with it anyways. By the way, slope is easy and fun. Just remember to rise and then run. So we're going to take a look at a couple of examples where we have to determine the slope from the given graphs. Whenever I want to find the slope from the given graphs, I try to locate 2 points first that I need to choose the points so that I can easily identify their coordinates. So in this case, I'm going to choose this point here, which I will call the point A, and this point right here, which I will call the point B. So from point A then, I would go to point B under one condition, that I can only move vertically or horizontally. I cannot just go straight ahead and run towards point B. Okay? So, whenever I do this, I first move vertically, and that's because I was taught that slope is a rise over run. And then I think, if I want to write the slope, I first have to find the rise. And I see that to go from point A to B, I must rise 2 units. So I'm rising 2 units higher. That means that I'm rising plus 2. And from the point where I've landed on, which is right here, I have to run to go to point B. And for the run, we'll say that I go 1, 2, 3 units towards the right, so in the positive direction. So that means that's a positive 3. So in this case, we will say that the slope of the given line on this graph will be positive 2 over positive 3. So the slope is positive. And you can tell that the slope is positive because as you walk along the line from left to right end of it, to the right end of it, the line is going up. If you want to, you can practice the next line on your own. In the meantime, I will continue explanation, but you can stop the video if you want to practice yourself. Again, I'm going to locate 2 points whose coordinates I can identify more easily. So this is my first point, point A, and this is my second point, point B. Now, I'm going to start my journey from point A, which is on the left side of the line, to point B. And I will say that to go from A to B, I have to move vertically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So that means that I'm moving 6 units vertically. And the next thing you want to think is it 6 units up or down? So I would say I'm going down. So that makes for a rise of -6. Now from this point where I've landed on, I have to move horizontally to get to point B. So I have to move 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So that means that I'm running 4 units. The next thing that you want to think of is, am I running towards a positive or negative? So it's positive, so you write +4. So in this case, we will say that the slope, which is rise over run, would equal -6 divided by +4. Now, one very important thing we must mention here is that the slope must always be written in the most simplified form, which in this case would be -3 divided by 2. Remember, you can assign the negative sign either to the numerator or denominator or leave it in front. I always like to give the negative sign to the numerator. It makes the calculations much easier. So with this, we found the slope of this line. Now, probably wondering or probably heard before, what if I moved from point B to point A, right, instead of from A to B? So what if I measure the slope going in this direction? Would I still get the same slope? My assumption is, since we're talking about the same line and the lines have the same slope, then we must end up with the same slope. So here we go again, and let's give it a try. So to go from B to A, I must rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So that's a +6 rise up. And then I have to run 1, 2, 3, 4 units, but I'm running towards negative, so over -4. So 6 over -4 will still give me the slope of -3/2. So it doesn't matter in what direction you measure the slope of a line. The next example is the example of a horizontal and a vertical line. So here goes a horizontal line, and here's a vertical line. In horizontal lines, I'm going to pick 2 points again. I'm going to go point A and B here. And to go from A to B, I would say that I need to rise and then run. Think how much you have to rise from A to B. You don't need to rise at all from A to B because it's a horizontal line, so we'll write 0 rise. For the run, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so over 6. In this case, we say that the slope of AB is 0/6 or 0. And with this, we're done finding the slope of AB. The last line is the vertical line here. And I'm going to call the 2 endpoints of this line CD. Sorry about that. C and D. And now I'm thinking for the slope of CD, I have to rise from one point and then run and to get to the other point. So pretend that I'm rising from C. To rise from C to D, then I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units down. So I'm writing negative 6. And I've landed right away at D, so I don't have to run. So in this case, we say the slope is undefined. So now that we know how to find the slope of a line from its graph, we are going to look at an algebraic way of finding the slope of a line, which will be the case in most of our questions. So to find the slope of the given line, I first write the coordinates of the 2 points. And I like to write the coordinates right below each other. And I'll tell you why. And then I name the coordinates by the symbols x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope of a line is given by the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that is the reason why I want to label the coordinates of each point by x1, y1, and x2, y2. And now that I know what x1, y1, and x2, y2 are, I substitute into the formula. One thing that I want to emphasize here is the fact that it is very important that if we start with y2 here, then we must start with x2 in here, with x2 and y2 being an ordered pair, so they go together. You cannot mix the order. And writing the coordinates in this form or in this way, right, below each other, makes it easier for us to see the coordinates that we're subtracting and their order. So we are subtracting the coordinates this way. Okay? So here we go back to our question. I'm going to say slope is y2. y2 is 5 minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is 8. So that makes the slope equal to 2 over negative 6. Now remember, it is very important that we reduce the slope to lowest terms possible all the time. Negative 1 over 3 if you divided both numerator and denominator by 2. And regarding this minus sign that we ended up with in the denominator, remember it can go in front of the numerator, denominator, or in front of the fraction. So what that means is that it means the same thing if we say 1 over negative 3, negative 1 over 3, or negative 1 over positive 3. So all these mean the same thing. Now what would be my favorite way? This is my favorite. And the reason why is because by assigning the negative sign to the numerator, makes it easier for us to simplify linear equations. Now it is your turn to practice the next question, which is question B. I hope this all made sense, and I'll see you in class to discuss any further questions.